our presenters on stage, please silence all communication devices. Our program is about to begin. Please take your seats and silence your cell phones. Our program is about to begin. Please welcome the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt.
Well, good morning. Welcome to day 3. We got a big day ahead of us. We got some pretty awesome artists to come. We got a governor later today. But right now, we got some pretty fun stuff, and we're going to give away some money here in a little bit. It's like a game show this morning. So thank you for being here. You're going to be a part of the outcome. But first, we are going to recognize 3 outstanding leaders whose service to the United States Conference of Mayors has made a lasting impact on this organization and cities across the country. What we're doing here is honoring some of our elected leadership who will be leaving office in the next year. So this is their last annual meeting. And I'm going to use this as an excuse to explain leadership real quick. You run for advisory board members can run for trustee, trustees can run for officers. There's other ways to be in leadership, to be named a committee chair or a task force chair by the president. But the elected route is obviously independent of the president, and it's for as long as you're a mayor. and it obviously is not topic specific. You're really entering the governance of the organization, and these three people we're going to honor were all in elected leadership. They were all either on the advisory board, trustee, or in one case, they are one of our past presidents. So, and that is where we will begin. Mayor Hillary Sheevey of Reno, the 81st president of the United States Conference of Mayors. Yes. Mayor Sheevey was also co-chair of the Mental Health Task Force. Mayor Sheevey brought visionary leadership, a strong commitment to innovation, and a collaborative spirit that strengthened this organization and elevated the voice of America's cities. And by the way, I'm going to say nice things about all three, and then we're going to bring them all out. We also recognize this morning Mayor Gerard Hudspeth of Denton, Texas, who served with distinction. The mayor served with distinction on the USCM Advisory Board and as chair of the Energy Committee. Mayor Hudspeth has been a thoughtful and dedicated leader known for bringing people together and championing strong local leadership. And finally, our third mayor we're going to honor this morning is Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. Mayor Bowser is a valued member of the USCM Advisory Board and chair of the International Affairs Committee. Mayor Bowser has been a powerful national voice for cities, leading with strength and advocacy on issues impacting communities across the country. We also want to express our gratitude to Mayor Bowser for hosting our wonderful embassy events during our winter meetings. To each of these leaders, we thank you for your service, leadership, and commitment to America's mayors. Please join me in recognizing Mayor Sheevey, Mayor Hudspeth, and Mayor Bowser. That was very nice. Thank you. All right. Now to the heart of our Civic I.O. Plenary. Of course, I.O., I had to ask this morning to remind myself. Input-output is what that stands for. Civic I.O. is the conference's program, which focuses on the future, how technology is changing our society, the impacts of innovation in making government better, and the creativity we draw from one another that drives social connectivity among us. The Civic I.O. program hosts an annual summit each March in partnership with the City of Austin and South by Southwest. I've been to this. Many of you have as well. If you haven't been, you might want to take a look at that. It's a pretty awesome program we have done for many years here at the conference. We hope that if you're interested in any of these topics, you should definitely consider attending. To kick off our Civic I.O. Plenary today and help put some color to these themes I mentioned, please join me in welcoming our partner from the Civic Foresight Project, Stuart Candy.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name's Stuart Candy. I'm an experiential futurist, and I'm here to share a little bit with you about the work we've been doing over the last 8 or 9 years to equip mayors across the country with the capacity, the augmented capacity, to navigate alternative futures. And maybe a place to begin is with the question, what does the American future look like right now? We could begin by answering by asking the American people what they think. And at the moment, unfortunately, the news on that front is not great. 78% of Americans are not confident that life for their children's generation will be better. At least 2 out of 3 Americans believe that by 2050, the nation will become economically weaker, less important in the world, and more politically divided. And Americans' optimism about the future is at a 20-year low, according to Gallup research released just a couple of months ago. So it seems clear that one of the most underserved needs in the United States conversation today is imagining new paths forward, ones that we can be excited about, ones that we can commit to and pursue with vigor and energy. So what would a foresightful culture look like? What would it look like for it to be normal to think positively and affirmatively and plurally about the futures that we face? And this is a question for all of us, not just in this room, but well beyond. It's a question that drives the work of the Civic Foresight Project, which is a collaboration between myself, Jake Dunnigan. Many of you have also met. We've been working with mayors since 2018 through this collaboration with Civic.io and the US Conference of Mayors. And then in 2024, our wonderful colleague, Ilana Lipset, came on board as our third principal of the project, and we formally launched in this form. So this word, foresight, or futures, what is this? What's all this about? Well, it's basically the capacity to systematically and creatively use alternative ideas about how the world could change to catalyze change in the present. Now, if this sounds like something that you already do, and you're saying, well, yep, that's kind of my job, you would be right. It is, and you do. And foresight as a field and as a set of practices builds on something that all human beings do all the time anyway. What we try to do is to systematize and amplify and make more potent these habits of mind that all people have, but that not all of us cultivate, however much we perhaps ought to. So it includes, as a field, it includes addressing risks and concerns, things that we're worried about, things that we see coming down the pike and that need to be dealt with to avoid crisis. It includes envisioning desired outcomes, perhaps utopian, perhaps more realistic, depending on the kind of futures-oriented mind that you have. But it includes those aspects too. And exploring possible scenarios, things that might not be currently likely, but that could be waiting in the wings. And tying all three of these categories of thought to present action. Now, this work can look quite interesting. In fact, the work that I've been doing for the last 20 years has focused on taking these ideas out of the abstract and then bringing them into physical reality so that our bodies can take them as seriously as our minds need to. So, for example, this can look like physical objects as simple as postcards from alternative futures, or installations of encounters with potential futures made tangible, or objects as with this project with the United Nations Development Program, from radically different futures of how our politics could be configured. It can look like immersive scenarios that you step into with a dozen or hundreds of other people, as in this project, which we did 20 years ago for the state of Hawaii to help engage legislators and the public in co-creating the state's first ever sustainability plan, looking out to the year 2050. It can look like this project, which I did a week ago yesterday at Caltech, not too far up the road in Pasadena. We hosted a party, a gathering for time travelers from various alternative future timelines. And yes, that is a DeLorean time machine that made a guest appearance at the party. It can look like participatory processes where people imagine and create their own futures. For example, this project, which colleagues and I did for the BBC a few years ago, or this one, which we did for yesterday on this stage. I think we had the president of the American Institute of Architects, one of the recent firms that won the AIA Firm of the Year is called Mithun. It's based here on the west coast of the US, and they turned 75 recently, and instead of spending their time looking back at 75 years of past glories, they spent a day immersing 75 years into alternative futures for the year 2099, brought in junk from home that they would otherwise have thrown away, and turned it into immersive encounters with alternative versions of the future in the year 2099. It can also, this work, look like guerrilla futures, that is to say, unsolicited encounters with possible futures, like this project which Jake Dunnigan and I and our colleagues did in Honolulu, in Chinatown, Honolulu, 20 years ago, based on conversations with people who lived and worked in Chinatown. One of the greatest concerns that they had, which was not being addressed by the existing political conversation, was the question of incipient gentrification, changing of the character of the neighborhood. We accelerated this process through a simulation asking what it might look like in 5 or 10 years if this process continued, and it ended up on the front page of the state newspaper as a conversation that moved out of people's minds and into political focus. Or this project, which my students then at Parsons School of Design in New York did, to bring to life an imaginary situation in which there are no longer cars in New York City. And they created a monument to that achievement from the 2030s and engaged people with it in Times Square as if it had happened. So all of these examples, and then there are many more, would be under the banner of what we call experiential futures, which is the design of situations and stuff from the future to catalyze insight and change today. Now, in partnership with the US Conference of Mayors and the Civic I.O. program in particular, so far the Civic Foresight program has introduced around 250 mayors from across the country to these sort of foundational ideas in futures or foresight. I keep using both terms because in the field the terms are sort of used interchangeably. We've done this at the Civic I.O. program at South by Southwest, as Mayor Holt just mentioned. We've done this at the winter meeting in Washington, D.C., and we've been doing this at the annual meetings here, moving around the country, since 2018. And so perhaps there are some of you in this room who have taken part in this project, in this sort of modest but ambitiously conceived effort to make it normal to think ahead as part of what mayors do. So how might you use these practices? How might they be helpful to you? Let me give you 3 different levels. I mean, I described this project in a way as being ultimately about creating a culture of civic foresight. And the stakes for this are as grand as the political aspirations of the entire community. But let's make it concrete. So how might you use these practices, you yourself as a mayor in your community? Well, I think there are 3 levels we could talk about. The first is community. The second is your staff, leaders, administrators, those around you. And the third is you yourself. So to start with the community level, I'll give you an example of a project at exactly that level, and I'm not sure if she's here, but one of the first participants in our mayoral cohort of foresight practitioners was Nan Whaley, then mayor of Dayton, Ohio. I think she's at this meeting. I don't know if she's in the room. But Mayor Whaley engaged us to work with the community, with 70 or 80 people chosen from across the community to think systematically about the futures of Dayton. As it turned out, this program ended up being just a few days after the tragic mass shooting that took place in 2019. It was, if you might remember, on the same weekend as a mass shooting that took place in El Paso, Texas. So this was a moment of trauma and of extreme challenge for that community. And yet it was a moment at which, as it turned out, the community, in feeling itself more strongly, was, in a way, better equipped, perhaps, to identify what it wanted to become and what it wanted to move away from. And you can ask Mayor Whaley herself about the impacts of this process and what it did for Dayton. A second example, and this is actually not a project we've done, it's just something that we think is exemplary of the work in this space. Since 2011, Fort Collins, Colorado, incepted a futures committee as part of its city council. And this investment of effort, deliberately about lifting the eyes from the day-to-day, from the crisis to crisis that obtains in every local government, as far as we can tell, the specific remit is to look at least 20 or 30 years out as a complement to, not as a replacement for, the focus on the urgent. And so So that's a second example of working with this material at a community level. At the staff level, one of our, again, first participants from the mayoral cohort was, in 2018, was then West Sacramento Mayor Christopher Cabaldon. I saw him yesterday. I'm not sure if he's here in the room. He's now a state senator here in California. And Mayor Cabaldon took on not just the sentiment of futures as a practice, but the concrete prompt for everyone who applied to a job in the city. They were asked to sketch or to describe a future that we might not have thought about in our community. And what he said this did is give him a much better idea of what kind of thinker they were in relation to their prospective responsibilities, whatever they were applying for, but also put them on notice about how to connect this big picture thinking to the day-to-day work that they were applying to do. And the second example would be from a game that we have used with many of our mayors. It's called The Thing from the Future. I ran into one of our early mayoral participants, Tim Keller of Albuquerque. I don't know if he's here in the room, but saw him yesterday. He came to the session that we ran yesterday morning. And he told me that for years after that first session, he used this game, the city's edition of The Thing from the Future, with his staff at the outset of their group meetings on a regular basis as a way of exercising the muscle of futures. So you've got these grander kind of more systemic applications of futures at a community level, but then you've got the day-to-day application of futures thinking in the work of your staff and those around you. And Mayor Keller is not the only one who has adopted sort of some fragment of this work to help futurize the people around him within his administration. And then the third and final, last but not least, let's say, level is the personal level. That is to say, you as a leader, as an individual thinker, as a setter of tone and direction in whatever your city may be. Now, this is something that we practice with as playfully as we can and as usefully as we can within, the confines of an hour-long session. But for example, yesterday we had Tim Keller doing a simulated ribbon-cutting ceremony for a transformative project in Albuquerque. We also had Wendy Strom from Lakewood, Colorado, who similarly was imagining a generational change based 25 years from now, based on the direction that her current administration is moving towards. So that's one class of example of, practicing foresight at a personal level. Another class is in a project that we've been doing going back again to 2018, where we have sat down systematically with those mayors who have a particular inclination towards it and invited them to imagine out loud a particular future that they would like to investigate more closely. And then what we've done is created a poster, a physical artifact from that future as if it exists in the present. We did this with Mayor Pete Buttigieg, then Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, with Mayor Lydia Mahalik of Findlay, Ohio. I think we have the current mayor of Findlay somewhere here at this gathering. Mayor Mahalik was imagining a future in which the opioid crisis had been overcome. So these are not all kind of crazy out there ideas that are impractical and ought not to distract you from the day-to-day. These are applications of the day-to-day and the priorities that may be the highest purpose of what you are there to achieve as mayors. Mayor Stephen Benjamin of Columbia, South Carolina, who I think I saw here yesterday, we did another artifact from the future through his eyes. Mayor Tom Tate, then Mayor of Anaheim, California, just down the road from here, imagining a Civic Imagineering Festival in the 2030s. And then most recently, Mayor Jane Castor of Tampa, Florida, whom we interviewed last year about the city she leads and the spirit of ingenuity and economic reinvention, imagined through the lens of what is currently in Tampa and surrounds a bit of a scourge, the annual bloom of sargassum, of seaweed, which is a pain in the butt for everybody in that area. But what if it were the basis for a new blue economy? what if this problem were turned into an opportunity? So what we're doing now as Civic Foresight Project is embarking in this year, 2026, the 250th, as you may have noted. What we're embarking on is a national project to uplift mayoral vision and to provide an opportunity for concrete imagining to be shared through a local lens where the collection of resulting crystallized futures is as diverse as the country is. This project is called American Dream. This project is called A Mayor Can Dream. And it comes with an invitation to all of you. Those of you who think you may be interested in having a conversation about a future that you think is important for your community, we would be delighted to speak with you about what that vision is and how we might be able to bring it to life as part of a collection of such futures. We are currently auditioning mayors for this process, which will take place nationally, building on the work we've done over the last decade, but starting here in Los Angeles. So this is a particular call out to mayors, to any of the 88 cities within Los Angeles County, starting in my own backyard. I live in LA myself. But whether you are from here or anywhere else across the country, if this is interesting to you, if this piques your curiosity in any way, we would love to chat. The future of our communities, to our mind, really depends on developing this capacity to imagine together, to make it normal, to make it a cultural standard rather than an exception or something unusual, and then to act accordingly. So, if this is of interest to you, please reach out. You can catch us through the QR code that will send us an email, and we can open the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Stuart. Well, one of the most dynamic elements of Civic I/O Mayor's Summit that we have brought to the annual meeting is our Civic Tech Pitch. You are about to be the Shark Tank. Cities today face a growing number of complex challenges, and addressing these challenges requires not only strong leadership, but also new ideas and innovative tools. We're about to bring some of those to you. Our next session will feature 3 startups that are developing technologies designed specifically to help local governments deliver better outcomes for their communities. Each company brings a unique approach to solving civic problems, leveraging innovation to improve efficiency, expand capacity, and create measurable impact. This is an interactive experience for everyone in the audience. You will act as virtual sharks, like on Shark Tank, by asking questions to our startups. On the screen right now, there it is, you will see a QR code. That takes you to a Q&A portal where you can ask questions to those who are making the pitches. I will actually be the one reading them, but these are the actual questions that you're going to submit. I think you're going to have an opportunity for like upvoting to sort of rank the questions. I'm going to kind of give you a second there to, are people seeing it work? After the conclusion of our final pitch, now it's over there also on the bigger screen. After the conclusion of our final pitch, you will then vote on your favorite pitch. The top vote getter out of these 3 is going to get a prize of $5,000. You are going to decide this morning who walks away from this stage with $5,000. Let's welcome our first entrepreneur, Shannon Beckham of Chief AI.
Hello, my name is Shannon Beckham, and I'm the founder and CEO of Chief AI, software to power the world's leaders. For all of the mayors and your teams in the room today, coming to work every day can sometimes feel like this. Your team relies on paper and spreadsheets and manual processes to manage just about everything. I know this because I've lived it. That's me, right there, staffing U.S. Senator Michael Bennet. I've worked for 6 leaders across the public and private sectors, and in every executive office, it was the same. For example, here's the most common process I saw to schedule and prepare for a single meeting. The team would receive the request, gather more information, the staff would provide input, the schedule would get sent around via email, and then a memo would get drafted, reviewed, approved, and put into a daily briefing book, which in some cases was still printed and put into a binder. If the schedule changes, as it inevitably always does, the changes would get sent around, and finally, the leader could read the memo and walk into the meeting. This process repeats hundreds of times each week, and every time a step in that process breaks, an opportunity is missed, a relationship suffers, or a wrong decision gets made with outdated information. And this problem compounds over time because no institutional knowledge is being stored. If you're a mayor, this has massive consequences for your constituents and your communities. As one chief of staff told me, if I got hit by a bus, everything I know would be gone simply because there's not a centralized place to put it. Her team has tried other tools, but Salesforce is built to manage customers. Asana is built to manage projects. There is no software designed to manage a person, designed to manage an executive. And that's why we're building Chief AI. Chief is the command center to manage a leader's time, relationships, and priorities. We start with time because your schedule is a reflection of your priorities. So we completely reimagine how you build that schedule. We then store all of that information in a relationship database so we can give you AI-powered insights to help you drive toward your goals. Importantly, this is all built to be secure and compliant for government offices. I'm going to walk you through an example of how we've built this alongside one of our early customers, the Mayor of Denver. We took a process that once looked like this and is now powered by Chief AI. To start, every scheduling request, whether from the online form or email, flows into a single dashboard. When you open that request, Chief summarizes and categorizes it, so you have all of the information you need at your fingertips to make a decision. We automatically store every relationship, so you can open anyone's profile and see the last time you met with that person, or any notes that you've left, such as their kids' names or where you met them. Chief also pulls in their bio, recent news, and any information you need. And you can store them in stakeholder lists, such as climate leaders or the annual holiday card list. As the meeting approaches, Chief will research and draft the first version of that memo. And then the team can track it through a review process so that it gets automatically compiled and sent to the mayor each morning in a daily briefing. And we know you're on the go, and so is Chief. So the mayor can also access that daily briefing in a mobile app. And if he's at a conference like one of these, he can say, hey, Chief, we ran into Jennifer Morris at this conference. We need to set up a follow-up call. And the team receives that notification. But Chief is really about more than just efficiency. It's about strategy. Chief understands that the mayor has set 6 goals for the city of Denver for 2026. It also understands his tone of voice and how he speaks. So his team can ask any strategic question, such as, what % of my time did we spend across my priorities this month? Or, I'm hosting a roundtable on affordable housing. Who are stakeholders that are focused on this we could invite? Find my talking points from the event last year and draft updated remarks for this year. In Denver, we've seen incredible results so far. We've eliminated their scheduling backlog, streamlined more than 40 hours of work per week across the team, and tracked thousands of interactions. We're really focused on making this their central source of truth so they have the data and context they need to leverage AI. And this is just the beginning. Our vision is to build the full operating system for every government leader in their team, from operations to communications, policy, and engagement, so that you can leverage AI and be more efficient and strategic across your office. As Mary from the mayor's team said, Chief AI is game-changing. It removes hours of manual process we've done for years and helps us execute on our city goals. Every leader's team needs this product. And that's exactly why we're building Chief. Because behind every single one of these scenes, there's a mayor and their team working hard to deliver for residents and communities across the country. I know every software company tells you they're building software to change the world, but we're building it for the people who actually do, all of you. And we would love to work with you. We're opening our next cohort of pilot partners. Please scan the QR code or email me directly to get in touch. We would love to work with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shannon. Okay, stay right here. We got 4 minutes on the clock. We have a lot of questions. I'm skipping over all the ones that have to do with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know who thought that was funny. All right. So, how does your platform, this got the most upvotes, how does your platform address the need for freedom of information requests, or whatever that might be called in your city. In my city, it's an open records request. How does it help with that?
Yeah, great question. So within the platform, we architect the data so you can see what is a public record and what is work product, and designate between the two. And so we can work with your compliance team to match whatever those data retention and compliance requirements are.
Okay. Which AI engine is the backbone of this software?
We use both OpenAI and Anthropic models, and we can also use whatever model your city is, whatever model your city wants as well.
Okay. You're ripping through these, so you're going to get more than 3 questions.
Okay, we'll do it.
Because we got a lot of time. But you got a lot of questions. A lot of software doesn't integrate with our enterprise software, and our staff are generally resistant to new products that haven't been proven yet. How do you handle those kinds of objections?
Yeah, great question. We integrate fully with Microsoft. So we pull in emails and contacts from Microsoft, and then we architect and store that data within Chief. We can also pull in data that exists across scattered forms, so your spreadsheets, Word documents, your memos, things like that. So that all comes into the system, and then we're able to organize it within Chief. And so we integrate with all of your systems, and this process takes a matter of days rather than a matter of months to learn new enterprise software.
Excellent. How does someone overcome their fear of moving away from paper?
Great question. We built this for you. So on every single page, there's an export button. If people within your staff still want to export spreadsheets or want to export all of this as Word documents or PDFs, you can. So even as you're digitizing the process, there are still those interim steps to be able to export that briefing book, for example, as a Word document and print it every single day.
Would all of the notes in the platform be disclosable under Freedom of Information, public records requests?
Yeah. So it depends on your city. Some cities have stricter laws than others, and so we work with your city to say any note that your staff takes now, the same process exists for within Chief. So if you're writing a memo or taking a note, the way that that would be disclosed now is the same way that it would be within Chief.
Yeah, I think that's a highly localized legal question, really. Is this easily accessible to a mayor of a small city who may not have a lot of staff?
Yes. So we've built this for teams that do have large staffs, but actually we know that a lot of cities are under-resourced. So if you don't have the benefit of having a large staff, this also creates a lot of leverage for you as an individual. So that way AI can draft those memos even if you don't have somebody on your team drafting them for you now.
By the way, every mayor in the room could take advice from you on how to answer questions quickly and succinctly. How much does this cost?
Great. So we've been working with pilot customers, and we've priced this as a pilot partnership under the RFP threshold, so we can immediately start working with you, and you can find the value before we expand. So with the city of Denver, for example, it was $10,000, which was right under their RFP threshold for the year, and then we expand from there.
What does the training look like? What if someone has issues with technology? How does use of this become automatic and not something that's just discarded in a few weeks?
Great question. We have a team that works directly with you. So I've been out with the mayor of Denver's team multiple times over the last year. We work directly with your team to not only learn the products, but also take your feedback and improve the product along the way. We just launched within the last year, so we're a new company, and we've been working hand in hand with every customer that we have.
How are you going to ensure longevity monetization to make sure we don't invest in your product and then it doesn't exist anymore?
Great question, and valid for a startup. We just went through our fundraising round, and so we have runway for the next several years. We just completed the accelerator program at Stanford. I graduated from Stanford Business School 2 years ago. And so we have investors both from the private sector side and then also a lot of investors who have worked in government previously, such as the CTO of the GSA and the founders of OpenGov. So leaders who believe in our software and have been in this industry before.
Shannon is also available later for debate training. Thank you, Shannon. Well done.
Thank you all. It's great to be here.
Now, please welcome to the stage Motmot's co-founder and CEO, Elliott Smith.
All right. Well, good morning. My name is Elliott Smith. I am a municipal engineer, public works advocate, and co-founder of Motmot. And what we do is we put these small tethered robots into water main systems to find leaks and water main breaks. Our tool helps public works folks, utilities, be the eyes and the ears inside of a water main before small problems become catastrophic failures of chaos. All right, well, there was supposed to be some audio here with the phone ringing and pure chaos, but that's okay. Pipe failure is chaos, and it always happens at 2 a.m. We get that call at 2 a.m., we have to send our public works folks out to the job site to go locate it, isolate it, shut down the water main, and sometimes these repairs can take weeks to do. All right, so I'm a municipal engineer, and I've worked within cities. It's really difficult to manage systems that are old, archaic, and you can't see. We have a lot of problems within our water main pipe. We have leaks, we have breaks, but a lot of how our water main came to be constructed was from the first half of last century. And so these are drawings that are old, archaic. Sometimes you don't know where your pipe is or how it connects. Excuse me. So what we try to do with our water main technology is really get the visibility behind what's going on into what we can't see. And there's some communities here and some city leaders that are doing a really great job at it. Folks like Anaheim, who's doubling down on the asset management policies that they're putting into place. Raleigh Water, who's really getting into how do we use different innovative technologies to get that visibility underground. And Rochester, who takes that data and transforms it into capital improvement programs for their initiatives and efforts. So I want to give an example here. You might be thinking, Elliot, it's 2026. There got to be technologies that exist out there that can see and know when a water main break is going to happen. And yeah, sorta. There are some technologies that exist, but they're really expensive and they're somewhat limited. Here's an example from my hometown state of Michigan. We had in 2019 a proposal come in front of our desks that got accepted for $645,000 for about 5.5 miles of pipe. That's really expensive. That same competitor with another customer deployed 4 inspection tools into their water main pipe, only 1 came back. Folks, this is potable drinking water system. We should not be losing anything within our pipe, let alone a really costly failure like that one. So Mont-Mott's solution is simple. Number 1, we tether all of our inspection tools. It's a crazy idea. We don't want to lose things inside of our water main pipe. And our accessibility, we go through fire hydrants. You can see them at any corner. While we're inside that water main pipe, we're able to get tons of information. We're able to see, are there any foreign objects that shouldn't be in the pipe? And it's scary. There are a lot of weird things that we find. Acoustics, can we find leaks? Can we find where those are located at? Mapping the systems, so we don't have to rely on record drawings that were from the early 1900s. With all this, we'd funnel out the information down to what's my risk assessment profile for my system, and how do I better help the residents so you don't have to incur those breaks. So compared to our competitors, they charge about $146,000 per mile. What we do is we provide 4x the data, about 1/4 of the cost. The reason that Mont-Mott exists is because we're from the industry, we're from the cities, and we recognized a long time ago that folks need a more affordable solution that's safe. Here's a fun example of a project we did recently. We're from Detroit. We got a call from a municipality in Florida. They needed a water main inspection within a couple of days. Because we're able to do remote piloting, we sent down a crew member of 1 person down to Florida, did an entire water main inspection in 1 day, turned around the report in 1 week. We're able to save project costs and mobilization costs to the client. Other companies are not able to do this. So in ending, the future of water infrastructure, it's not going to be led by cities that are waiting for the next water main break to occur. It's going to be led by cities that are choosing the option to see what others cannot. And we want to build that future with you. Thank you.
All right, Elliot, step to the center here. on the hot seat. Okay. Elliot, how do you ensure that your robot's sensors don't give false positives when inspecting aging infrastructure? And how do you guarantee that its passage won't dislodge sediment and cause a dirty water event for nearby neighborhoods? And that's like maybe kind of two questions. Feel free to break them down.
Great question. We're going to start, I got short-term memory loss problems. We're going to start with the last one first. So these are drinking water systems. There really shouldn't be that much sediment. When we open our faucet, turn on the shower, that's all drinking water, right? If you got sediment in your water main, you got bigger problems. And the first one was, how do we ensure that the sensors are correct? We're coming out of a number of universities with our co-founding team, and we've worked a lot of years to make sure that these sensor technologies are accurate. And we work with a lot of utility authorities locally and backstep what's to be true and not versus actuals.
Okay.
A lot of research has gone into these sensors.
All right, thank you. What size water lines is this available for?
6 inches and up. So in order to deploy through a fire hydrant, you need to be able to go down through the barrel, make that turn. 99% plus of fire hydrants in the US here are 6-inch barrels.
What happens if the robot fails in the pipes?
Great question. We have not had a failure to date, but we have a lot of ways to mitigate that risk. When we go through a water main, we always induce what's called a dead end. And so there are gate valves in your system that you can operate. And so have a safer way to operate when you're doing your inspection. If there were a failure, what we would do is just close off the gate valves, turn off the system, and then pull it back out.
How does the pricing work?
Pricing, great question. It depends. We do water main inspections, but really any submersible environment. So intakes, water treatment plants, submerged culverts. It depends on the environment and how much needs to go into it. To give you the real quick and dirty answer, it ranges between 10 to 30K.
If it's tethered, how far can it travel?
So right now, we have a tether that is 1,000 feet long. It doesn't mean it's limited to 1,000 feet. A lot of our systems are branched. So you can go 1,000 feet one way, bring it back, go 1,000 feet the other way. Where we want to get to is to be able to do a mile tether with one entry.
Does your device help with mapping buried assets and pipelines?
Yes, that is one of our core advantages. So we combine, it's called VSLAM, with our inertial measurement unit on board. We're one of the only companies that can really map accurately, empirically, what we see underground as we go through it.
Everybody's least favorite question, especially political candidates. Do you have any competition?
We do have one competitor, and it is the reason that we exist. We absolutely believe they're overpriced, and it's really difficult for a city, if you don't have a lot of money in your operation budget, to be able to know what's in your underground. And so we want to make sure we can lower that barrier to entry so all cities can have access to their water main info.
Through inspections, are you also collecting data and trends that could help water agencies better predict when a break could happen without sending a robot in?
Absolutely. When we're taking in the visual, the acoustics, ultrasonics, there's a lot of information like a data sandwich you can compile. One of the reasons we give this report for a risk assessment is how do you define the probability of failure? And that's a big driver for communities.
What is the lifespan of the robot?
Ooh, lifespan of a robot. After every 10 inspections, we do a lot of maintenance on the robot. Because, again, we're in potable systems that people drink of, we never want anything to break inside of it, so we're constantly replacing parts.
All right, great job with all those questions. Let's
All right.
thank Elliot. Now, please welcome to the stage Automated Architecture's U.S. Growth and Partnerships Lead, Bill Rectanus.
Thank you. As the mayor said, my name is Bill Rectanus. I'm the U.S. Growth and Partnership Lead for Automated Architecture, or AUR for short. AUR is a mission-driven company, driven to bring robotic construction technology to the industry to support home building and deliver the attainable, sustainable homes that we need in our communities. We intend to build 1,000 microfactories by 2030, capable of building 200,000 homes. The home building industry is affected by a lot of outside forces right now. Affordability is down, costs are up, labor's in shorter supply, causing home builders to shift from a speculative build to a build-to-order process. That process requires greater customization and control on the job site. When builders are looking at battling these factors in the industry, operational excellence is what they strive to battle them with. And in the core and shell construction of a home, that's productivity on the job site. Builders have three choices for that productivity: to add more labor, but as we said, labor is in short supply. There's 5 people retiring from the construction industry for every 1 person coming in. They could capitalize on that robotic technology that already exists by taking their production, taking it off-site to an off-site facility where they lose control of their schedule. They're in somebody else's manufacturing sequence, and they're battering builders for time slots in that sequence. Or they could control that sequence, get the robotic expertise and technology by building their own factory, but the capital expense and the operating expense are too much for many home builders to afford. All of these things have the same solution, the same endpoint: an unpredictable cost, unpredictable schedule control, and unpredictable scalability. Our delivers the robotic technology to the job site where the home builder needs it, can control it, and manage it. Ours Microfactory not only gives the home builder the control on the job site, but it gives them control of their budget. Through 3D design, it gives them control of their budgets, their lumber usage, the quality of that lumber usage for fewer rework, less errors, lower warranty costs, and less risk. Our delivers everything that's needed for the Microfactory. Obviously, the Microfactory. We deliver the table, the saw, the robotic arm, the control panel. But we also deliver a shelter so that Microfactory can work in any weather. We deliver a generator so that Microfactory can operate anywhere. And we deliver an operator so that the home builder does not need to learn robotic technology on day one. We take care of that. Robotic Microfactories like this are capable of producing 80 to 200 homes a year, depending on size. And we fit into the workflow on the job site. We're not disrupting it. We're not taking people's jobs. We're augmenting and supporting it, allowing the framer to do more with less. Now that framer and other trades on the job site can grow and scale with the builder, providing the housing that we need in the United States without adding more people to their payroll, because they can do more with less because the robotic technology is supporting them. Every Microfactory has the capability of building all the wall panels that the home builder needs. 8 foot high, 9 foot high, 10 foot high, up to 20 feet long. All the wall panels come with blocking and backing included. It can drill holes for plumbing and electrical, facilitating the install of that down the road by other trades. Again, allowing them to do more with less. The capability of the Microfactory is also designed and engineered to do closed panels in the future, as well as floor panels and simple roof panels. It's driven by Master Builder. Master Builder is brains behind the operation, using physical and generative AI to be the single source of truth from design all the way through manufacturing. We put the production back in the home builder's hands. And here's the most important thing to realize today. It is zero CapEx for the builder. There is no upfront cost. The builder only pays a per square footage fee for the wall panels produced in the Microfactory. That means it fits into their budget the way any other trade partner would today, facilitating adoption and giving them that industrialized technology of quality, consistency, accuracy, and repeatability. We deliver that with no capital, at a lower cost, with better schedule control, but that design being able to be done in one day, there's limited lead time. How much does it cost? If you look at a typical 2,700 square foot house, buying wall panels from an off-site facility is around $15,000. With our, it's $12,700, a 15% savings. And because we can do that design in a day, they don't have the 4 to 6 week lead time that they otherwise would have. And compared to on-site stick framing, we can facilitate that framer to do the job in half the time. We want to work with builders in your town. We want to work with strategic partners that want to grow this technology. This is our team. Molly Claypool and Jill Retson founded Our. They developed it, tested it, and launched it out of the research labs of the University College London, Bartlett School of Architecture. They developed key partnerships along the way to support our mission. This is my email address. My name is Bill. I'm with Automated Architecture, and I'd like to talk to you about how we can support the housing needs of your community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill. Time for the questions.
All right.
How do you adapt to each city's code?
Great question. Master Builder has the ability to take the existing plans that a builder has and bring them into Master Builder. It creates a 3D model of the existing pre-approved plans that have already been reviewed by the municipality, creates a digital twin of those plans, breaks them down into wall panels, material takeoffs, costing, robotic code, user interface, and the assembly instructions for the framer. And so the technology that we have doesn't need to change for the code. It simply builds off the existing approved plans that the builder has.
Thank you. If a Category 4 hurricane or intense blizzard hits an AUAR-built neighborhood, will these homes withstand the conditions, or will mayors face a Three Little Pigs crisis? How do your joints and automated seals compare in quality to traditional poured concrete or heavy timber builds?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are building with timber. This microfactory is designed to build in any traditional wood-framed structure that you would have in any of your municipalities, primarily residential housing, whether that's single-family or apartments. We would build to the code of that jurisdiction, so we would withstand the pressures of the hurricane or tornado or whatever, just like any other structure that was built to the highest level of code in your jurisdiction based on those home builders' plans. However, the one thing that you do have with the robotic technology, you've got more precise cuts and you've got more precise nailing. So when the code says you need to nail every 3 inches on the edges of a shear wall panel, you're getting a nail at exactly 3 inches every time, something that you cannot guarantee with a human-built structure.
All right. How does your system address potential design monotony?
Great question. Because Master Builder is the single source of truth from design through manufacturing, we can literally build anything, any wall panel that's designed by the architect. And so we can encode the complexity once. If a builder has a plan with a number of options and changes, even customized options that happen during the sales process, because we can do that design in a day, we can build that into the system quickly, encode it, and then it's captured in there in a catalog forever to be built over and over and over again. So we have mass customization capability through the design software that's accompanying the microfactory.
Are you prepared for pushback from unions and labor?
That's a great question. I have not done a lot of conversations in areas that have strong union presence. However, the message that we're delivering is that we're not taking people's jobs. We're simply supporting them. This is another tool in that union workers' tool bag that they can bring to the job site. My ultimate vision is that it's really the trades that drive this, that are bringing this to the builders and developers and saying, hey, look at this tool I'm bringing with me. Look at the quality and control I can deliver on your job site because I have access to this new revolutionary tool. And so I don't believe it's going to be an issue because we're not taking jobs. We're supporting and giving them an extra tool to do it better, faster, cleaner, and to do more with less.
Are these being used by Habitat for Humanity anywhere?
They are not currently, but we are having conversations with the Habitat for Humanity. I think they could be a great partner for us and something that we are focused on in our conversations with them currently.
Is this just for framing?
This at the moment is for wood framing. And so when we're bringing this to market, the first one arrives in the United States in September. That will be primarily wall framing for residential structures. The microfactory has been built and engineered so that it can work from both directions. It's been built and engineered so it can do floor cassettes, simple roof cassettes, and it can even do closed wall panels. So we have the ability to continue to advance the technology, and do more and more of the build over time.
All right, let's thank Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, mayors, now is time for you to vote on your favorite pitch. On the Q&A portal, there is a tab on the top of the page that says Poll, P-O-L-L, where you can select your favorite pitch. You actually have about 10 minutes to cast your vote. We're going to go to a panel while we tabulate the results, and we'll announce the results at the end. So cast your votes I'm going to quietly walk away now. And the voice of God is apparently going to introduce the next panel. There we go.
Please welcome Partners for Public Good CEO Kaylee Berger and Richmond, Virginia Mayor Danny Avula.
Hi, everyone. Shark Tank is a tough act to follow, but we're here with a great topic, procurement and delivering for residents in this moment. So let's frame up that moment. We all know budgets are tight, technology and AI are exploding, and residents expect more than ever. And it's, the mayors who are really going to deliver on those expectations. So I'm so excited to be here with you, Mayor Avula. We've had so many conversations about these topics, and excited to share with this group some of these insights. So let's talk about that question of delivery. When residents in Richmond say, we need government to deliver for us, what do they mean?
Well, good morning, friends. Good to see everybody. First, I'm thrilled that I'm not pitching. That seems so stressful. And second, I'm amazed that this room is so full. People excited about procurement this morning, right? Delivery. I mean, I'm still learning, right? I'm a year into this job. I came from leading government organizations in the local and state level. And so I think I came to this really thinking about kind of the people, process, and systems framework, like the long, hard work of actually building systems that are effective. And that's definitely part of it. I was really struck, for those of you who were here a couple days ago, when Mayor Holt was interviewing Governor Newsom, and he asked the question, he said, if you were to be mayor again, what would you focus on? And Governor Newsom said, I would really focus on visible results. And I think a year and a few months into this job, I have been so focused on the behind the scenes, do we have the right people, let's work through the systems and processes, and not enough on the visible results part of this. And I think the question of what does delivery mean to our residents is their lived experience with their local government, right? Is it easy to pay a bill? Or when I report a pothole to 311, does it actually get solved, right? And so I do think delivery does mean is the local government doing what people want and expect and touch and feel from their local government every day? And I think the reality is that we in the seats that we sit in have to do both of those things, right? We have to both do the behind the scenes work to strengthen our organizations and to build a better delivery system, but then we also have to be really focused on the outcomes and things that people can connect to.
Yeah. And on that point of things that people can connect to and those little moments, the potholes and the big moments, these moments you're really called to serve, how does that day-to-day work really connect to public trust and building trust?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I think the ability or the effectiveness that we deliver really drives public trust. I mean, we all live this every day. We know it. We experience it. And when something happens and it creates a media story, that starts to erode public trust. When big things happen, so for me, that was 6 days into my tenure as mayor, we had a bad winter storm, and the automatic switchgear from our primary to secondary power source on our water treatment plant went bad. The water treatment plant was flooded. All of our pumps and filters were under 12 feet of water, and the whole region didn't have water for 2.5 days, and then on a boil water advisory after that. And so, the erosion of public trust that happens when something so significant like that takes place, But to build it back, we had to do a couple things. One, we had to fix the issue, right? And so much of, that first night, I actually spent the night at the water treatment plant, and we got really good at the communication cycle. And so press conferences twice a day, social media every few hours, really communicating to people what we were doing, how we were delivering. And some of that was like getting into the technical fix of the water treatment plant, saying, here's where the water level is, here's how many pumps and filters that we've refreshed and are up and running. And people, don't necessarily know how a water treatment plant works, and they don't know what a pump and filter does, but they know that when you go from 2 to 4 to 7, like that's movement in the right direction. And so I think the consistency of communicating that and giving people an opportunity to see, hey, here's what your local government is doing to resolve this situation, helped in the crisis moment to maintain some of that public trust. But we didn't stop there. We've continued to go back, every few months and provide new updates. Hey, we just invested X million dollars into a new substation that was installed, or we replaced this segment of the water treatment plant. At the 1-year anniversary of our outage, we brought the media in and had a great set of stories where people could see how much change had happened in a 12-month period. And so I think the importance of following up on that, making sure that people are connected to the change that's happening. And I mean, you gotta link delivery to public trust. I mean, those things are so bound.
That's right. And show and tell and show and tell.
Yeah,
and tell
right.
some more. That's
Yeah.
right. Great. Well, one of the topics we've talked a lot about too is procurement and how that is a way to deliver and a pathway for delivery. And folks are not often thinking about that as a way to save money, a way to build local economic investment, a way to drive delivery and impact for residents. Can you talk about how you've thought about leveraging procurement as a strategic tool to really deliver enrichment?
Yeah, well, I'm sure all the folks who are here this morning would agree that procurement is the sexiest part of government. It is why we're here this morning. No, I think a lot of our focus in government is on policy, and now in this role as mayor on politics, right? And it's not enough focused on the actual implementation. Right. And I think procurement is a very, like the gears of how things get implemented and executed happen through procurement. I think in many ways, procurement can be a reflection of our values, whether that's our equity values, focusing on minority business vendors, or the value we have of stewarding the taxpayer dollar well and making sure that we're really maximizing the effectiveness of each of those dollars. So, I think in the early, year of this job, making sure that we are being innovative, trying new things. And so one of our big successes, we started doing reverse auctions. We found out that our state code actually allows for that procurement pathway, and we'd never really done it before as a city. And so when we were procuring new chemicals for our public utility plant, we had a multi-year contract. We used a reverse auction where people kind of in real time could underbid the competitors, and we ended up saving $1.7 million on that first contract. And so, we comms the hell out of that to make sure that people knew that we were using new procurement practices as a way to meet our good government mandate, that we were really focused on stewarding these dollars well, and here's something that the residents would have never really thought about as a pathway to get there.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm always talking to people about how, folks are trying to cut costs or reduce spend, and the first place to look is your contract inventory.
Yeah.
The first place to look is innovative procurement methods, because that is the way your dollars are going out the door. So there's so many opportunities there, so really appreciate you highlighting that. And now on the theme of the day, AI and technology, there's so much excitement about the possibility of AI to make things faster and more efficient and better for residents. And there's so many vendors who have great ideas for all of us about how to do that. But right now in this moment, where do you think AI tools are best positioned to help mayors reduce friction and deliver? And where do you think cities should be more cautious?
Yeah, I think it's ironic that in rooms like this, we sit through a lot of these presentations with vendors, and we are excited about new applications of AI. But when you go out and talk to real people, and I mean, surprisingly, it's coming from all ends, regardless of the political spectrum, older folks, Gen Z, all of them seem to be freaking out about AI. And so I do think there is just a responsibility we have to make sure we're thinking about both what guardrails do we set internally as we're engaging the conversation, but also how we are communicating to our residents, how we're bringing them into the process, and not just our residents, but also our employees, our staff. So one of the first, well, I'll say kind of some of the risky areas, and I know many of you are experiencing this as well, is really the intersections of AI and law enforcement strategies, right? We're getting hammered right now on license plate reader technology, which has been extraordinarily helpful to our police department. We have week after week after week cases that get closed and situations that are resolved because of what LPR technology has done. And so our police force and our comms team have really tried to get better about that storytelling and to elevate when LPR technology has helped resolve an issue. At city council hearings, we actually have residents, loved ones of people who have been murdered where the case was solved by LPR come and testify to our city council. And so, but I also recognize, like, in this particular cultural and political moment, it is something that we have to be super thoughtful about. You think about what's happening to our immigrant communities. And so my background, I'm a public health physician and ran the public health department for a long time. And so everything I kind of frame is in the context of a risk-benefit calculation. And so what I've really tried to do is say, the use of AI, of LPR technology, of other new technology in law enforcement has a benefit, and we've got to put the guardrails on to mitigate the risk. And at whatever point the risk outweighs that benefit, we have to reconsider our path. And I'm very committed to doing that. But yeah, so I think the sort of law enforcement application is one area that we really need to think through. One of the first things I did when I came in as mayor last year was scope out a job description and hire an AI manager who would come in and really develop the policy framework for our city government as we think about, assess, and implement new technology. And I think that was a sign to our staff and to our community that we are going to be thoughtful about how we embrace new technology. And in that process, we've also seen the importance of engaging our staff in the solutioning around adoption of new technology, right? Because I think there is this understandable inherent fear of, is this going to take my jobs? Is this going to make me obsolete? And I spent a few years as the Commissioner of Social Services for the state of Virginia. And coming into that, there was a study done that showed that we as a state were 1,800 child welfare workers short to really meet the demand of the Commonwealth. And we're never gonna find the funding, commit the funding to grow, to more than double our child welfare workforce. And so part of my messaging to our staff as I would go around to all of our local DSSs was, we need to use technology to do the things that people can't do, right? And we need to let our humans focus on the human work of sitting face to face with families who are in just some of the most stressful periods of their life, and social workers and mental health providers and all of that. But the technology, for a child welfare worker who spends 40 hours pouring through court documents to come up with the documentation they need for the next court case, so much of that can be done through AI now. And so I think engaging people on the front end, helping them actually flesh out the use cases, and making sure that they are a part, but all the while focusing on the fact that we actually do need humans to do human-facing work. Touching our residents, helping shepherd our services, and that technology and humanity can really coexist well.
Yeah, I think that's so smart, and thinking about what is the highest and best use of your staff's time, and then how can you enable technology to remove the barriers and the burdens of the things that are not the highest and best use of their time.
Well said.
That's great. Well, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I want to get back to how do mayors better tell this story of strong governance and delivery for their cities? So much of what we talked about is only as good as if residents hear it, understand it, and buy in and build that trust. So what does it look like? How do we tell the story of these delivery decisions?
Well, I haven't figured this out, and so I want to say that up front. But one of the things that we did this at the end of last year was kind of launch what we call the Mayoral Action Plan. And it's, a strategic plan, but it is very outcome focused. And so each thing really looks at like specific measurable outcomes, like the number of bike lane miles paved, or the number of new subsidized affordable housing units, or the number of potholes filled, right? And what we're finishing up now and what we'll be launching later this year is just a set of really easily digestible dashboards that people can look at, they can see the progress that their local government is making, and they can kind of make that connection. Oh, this is how my taxpayer dollars are being used, And so I think part of the trust building we talk about comes through translating some of the work we're doing into ways that people can connect with and touch. And I think it also means like leveraging our communications staff, right? So one other example, I came in at a time where there had been kind of a rash of media stories about poorly spent dollars, and that launched an audit. And so in the first few months of office, the auditor came back and said, we really have very little financial controls in our operation. And so the spending through our purchasing cards, our P card program was rampant. Like there weren't rules. And so in April last year, we hit pause on the P card program, and we shrunk it from, there were probably 350 P cards to 60 total users. We spent the last year developing our training modules, making sure anybody who would have access to a P card would be trained. And I know you guys, like, this is really basic stuff, but we're all at different ends of the spectrum on how mature our organizations are in this way. But yeah, so focusing on training, focusing on financial controls, focusing on policy. And then next Tuesday, we will be doing a big kind of press conference and release of like, okay, here, and as we reopen the P card program, here are the controls we put in place. Here are the trainings that we put in place. My auditor, I would meet with my auditor once a month, and most auditors are very serious, curmudgeonly folks, and never have nice things to say. But he came into this meeting and he said, the training that you all put together is the best training that I've ever seen in local government. And so I think, again, using that as a storytelling point and sharing with our residents, like, here's what doing just like the fundamental basics of running a good government operation, here's how that translates for you.
Yeah, that's great. And I know we're closing out, but something you said backstage is that you have a good government mandate, and I think we all do. And I think a lot of these ideas are the kinds of things that can help drive impact toward that good government mandate. So thank you so much for sharing. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Great to see y'all.
Okay, well, it is almost time to announce the winner of our pitch earlier, but I do want to share something about tonight's events. I'm going to say this again at lunch, too. The Nothing But a Key Thing featuring Snoop Dogg and friends, as well as our Gavel to Gavel celebration aboard the Queen Mary. These have some logistics that you need to know. To ensure that your evening goes smoothly, we ask that you please review the bag policies, transportation, and additional information in the USCM app under the Explore section of the 94th annual meeting. So in the app, 94th annual meeting, Explore section. So, I mean, there's like boat rides involved, there's bag policies. This isn't quite as loosey-goosey as the last couple of nights, right? And we don't want you to get on the other side of the harbor and suddenly be turned away. So make sure that you have checked everything out and you are fully ready to enjoy what will be a very special evening. Now, for the moment we've been waiting for, I want to thank all of our participants for joining us today. They're all doing incredible work, and we're so excited to see the future of all of their initiatives. Our participants will be here today. Please seek them out to find a way to work with each of them to advance their efforts and yours. Now, I have asked the contestants to come out, and I remind you, you have voted, and one of these will win $5,000. Shannon Beckham! Chief AI is the winner of the $5,000 grand prize. Thank you all for participating. Congratulations, Shannon. This session is adjourned.